right, welcome to the episode.
What's up?
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so this is an interesting episode with Biblioteca. You have some big information.
We do indeed. We began 4 years ago on a strategic plan for the development of the library over the next 3 years. One major part of that plan was succession. And basically, I think that's why we're here today, because we solved our problem of succession with this handsome gentleman sitting beside me.
Hey, am I happy or sad? I'm not sure what emotion to feel.
Let's be clear, Beverly's happy. That's the priority.
There you go. So we're very, very pleased to have found someone who can really take over and take the library to the next step of community service. David's the right person to do it.
Thank you so much.
Hey, introduce yourself, and I guess let's learn about you for a minute.
All right. So my name's David Schreiner. I have my family here. We've been in Nosara about 5 years. I started at the library volunteering in the English program a little over a year ago. And it's sort of in the way of Nosara, serendipity. All of a sudden, what about him? He speaks Spanish. We had some interviews. There was a nice process. I got to learn a little bit more about how things operate. And then I was invited to take over a piece of the massive mantle that Beverly always wore as director. And it's really, really exciting for me. So I began in November. So I've been there a few months now. I've got for the pace of the library, I'm established. I've been there a while.
Have you made enough people angry yet to feel like...
Oh my gosh. You can't do anything without making somebody mad, but it's okay because I really, really believe in the mission of the library from the beginning. It's always existed in my understanding as a conversation with Ticos, with locals, where they said, we need help. Here's the help we need. And Beverly said, I can give you that help. Let's work together. And so from my perspective, the foundation has always been empowering locals with resources that they need to grab a different life, to access bigger opportunities in Nosara and wherever else they go. It's let me meet already some amazing people who are fighting really hard for the people of Nosara, and I couldn't be more excited for where we're going.
Wow, what an introduction. So Beverly, give us a quick forecast of how does this play out? I don't even know what question to ask because the idea of you not being there is weird. But walk us through how this is going to go.
I'm still around. Let's put it that way. And if anybody needs my opinion or help, I'm here to give it. But I am very, very old, and I really felt that it was time that a younger person, with the energy that I had when I started, took over the library. And that's why I'm very satisfied. And I'm looking forward to the type of things that we can create in the future with someone with loads of energy to direct the people that we have working for us.
Is there a wish list that you kind of have that you're imparting as you pass the torch?
To keep in mind that we are serving the Costa Rican community. That's the bottom line. And how we can do that best depends on what they feel they need. We've taken polls of our clientele, and they have expressed to us the things that are important to them, and we're trying to further develop programs around those things.
Yep.
And those are reading, also math tutoring, because that seems to be a real problem nationally, but certainly locally, for the children. Just in general, serving the young community, the middle community, and our old people's group.
As you pass the torch, you're adhering to your core of the local populace, what they need, but at the same time, you're passing it over with a wildly broad, different spectrum of ages and demographics, and
that is true.
You know what I mean? It's like
that
it's the same, but it's also so very different.
Yep.
And I found I no longer had the energy to push the programs, to create new things. I have run the program for 28 years, and that's pretty much as anyone can give in any job. And I started when I was 60. So
Respect.
enough is enough.
The sheer force of will.
The sheer force of will, and now it's gone. The will is gone. I just feel lazy. So we've got a young man that can do it all.
All right, I'm sold. I'm accepting.
Good.
Pressure's on.
Okay, so let's move on back over to you, Mister. Let's start with the bad first. I don't know if you know this. Nosara sometimes doesn't always get along on things.
The more I learn, I suppose you could say.
So
those windows keep opening.
So do you have any ideas or strategies of how to deal with the small town, big hell portion of life here inside of something that's very emotional, touches a lot of different people? And then also once people learn that something's happening, people want more. And then sometimes you're not going to be able to give more.
Yep, that's a fact.
A lot of her time over the past 28 years has been learning when and where to say no.
Yep.
It wasn't just wanting to help. It was like, I could do this much.
Yep.
So again, let's just start with the negative.
Yeah.
How do you toe that line? How are you going to do it?
Well, I think one of the first things that I had to recognize is that there's no turf. Some people in this community, I think, fight over who gets to do what and who doesn't and how they work together. And I had several meetings where I said, no, we're doing the same thing. We're both doing English classes, for example. Let's work together. I can serve this community, you can serve this community. And their eyes lit up. They thought they were coming in for this kind of conversation. And I think that's sort of a metaphor for how the library operates best, is we open our arms, we say we're all a community, we connect. I'm singing Kumbaya now. But then, like you said, we know we have this many hours, we have this much space, which is a real consideration. We have this many people and this many books or this many dollars. And I don't think it's, I believe in my team. Obviously, I believe in everything Beverly created. Basically, I'm thinking if it ain't broke, don't fix it as a starting point. So it's pretty easy coming from that place of like genuine service and strong belief that we're all working for the same thing to say, this is what I've got. Let me help you work with me to take what I've got and do the most we can. And when I have to say no, I am sorry. But because we're all working together, I can say, I think we might be able to send you here, here, or here, at Unamica or wherever else, to meet that need, to fill that gap where we stop.
I got you. So your theme is integration and
Yeah.
an open door policy type of,
Yep.
There's so much information available.
Yep.
And this is exactly where we're at. There's so much openness that that's it. Is
Yep.
that right?
And I think we are uniquely positioned to do that because Beverly and Consuelo have so much history, so much respect, so much cachet in the town that literally someone can come to the library and say, my problem is this, and we can probably point them in the right direction. Like 9 times out of 10, we know. If we don't have it, we know where it is. So it's really exciting and inspiring to have people come and put their trust in us. And then a generation later, their kids do the same thing. And I meet them wherever, at the gas station, at the super, and they say, oh, my dad learned to read at the library. Can you help me with this? And we can see this through line where the community isn't a circle or a line, it's a web where we're all able to help each other out. The library just happens to be at one of those central nexi where we can connect everyone with what they need or try our best. It fills me with a lot of hope that we can solve problems as in a communal way instead of adversarially or anything like that.
That makes sense. It seems like the Biblioteca is the hub of the local populace. It has the strongest pulse from young to old of anything anywhere. I think it has the biggest difference. We have plenty of NGOs, but we don't have that many deep into the heart of the local populace. And that's why it's had my attention. Even as I've pulled off of every board, the only one that I'll even be on the advisory board with is this for that reason. It's now I'm sounding hippie. It's kind of soul grabbing because you know that it's making a difference.
Yep.
All right, so we talked about the good and the bad, the challenges, but fear-wise, what are you most scared of?
I have a lot of answers, but I'll start with number 1. We are a lean team and we're lean financially, and a lot of the relationships that have sustained the library have depended on the people that trust Beverly most. The library is her project, it's her baby, and a lot of people have given money saying, I believe in you. I've seen what you've done, like, I believe in you.
Hey, let's
Full
pause
stop.
right there and let her say that again. What's your message to all the Patreon families, the people who might be able to do estate type ideas? Like, give a message right now while you're here. What message do you want them to hear and be thinking of as you're relaxing and he's stepping up, but the mission still goes on? What do you want them to be thinking about?
Well, they can be assured that as long as I am around, I will be watching to make sure that the library continues with the same trajectory that we have had for 28 years. And I said our basic line is working with the local community to serve them.
Yep.
And certainly I am very confident that David will indeed continue in that direction. And we will have other changes in staff in the future, but I'm sure that each change will bring new ideas and new blood to the system, and we will prosper. And I'm confident.
So change is okay as long as it sticks to the core principle. It sounds like David's very much in line with that.
Absolutely.
What other topics do you want to cover, either about the transition, or do you want to progress us into what the next couple months hold?
Well, I think I'll add one note, and then I'd love to see what we were doing next. The library did something really remarkable in the way they created the support and scaffolding around the transition. The advisory board and even some small subsets within the advisory board are very active. Within having basically signed the acceptance letter, I had WhatsApp messages or emails from 4 people saying, can we meet and have a chat? So it's really given me a lot of confidence to brainstorm and experiment, because I meet Beverly every other week. I meet with these board members regularly and say, what do you think about this? I'm thinking about this. Most of the time, Beverly says, oh yeah, we did that in 1984. Here's what you should do. And I'm like, okay, great. This is well-worn territory, but it creates a support structure where, even though I don't have a background in libraries, I'm pretty familiar with Nosara, but I know that if it goes like this a little bit, it's okay, because everyone's confident we all got each other's backs, which I think is really necessary when you're taking the reins of an institution with this much momentum, this much history, that you can not throw everything out the door. It's not like changing of the guard, something brand new, We've got a lot of successes and we want to keep those rolling.
That makes sense. I don't know how many boards I've been on, but it's been a bunch, and there's hands down none as tight knit as the one that you've established and now you're inheriting. We'll look at it with care and attention, then go through it, and then even have someone else go through it again. But you also listen to stuff too. I've seen many people really interested in an idea, when they hear something new, not lock up. They're like, oh, well, how do we get that in too instantly? There's very little ego.
Yep. I think
involved,
that's right.
And that seems to be a real healthy environment for you.
It's tremendous. And it comes back to the mission. We all commit to the same thing. We love it here, and we know we're here due to the largesse of Ticos, and we want to support them and empower everyone that we can help and give back however is most needed.
All right, so how are you going to do that?
Great question. So I think one of the things that Beverly has really imparted on me is that classes for young adults and adults were some of the foundational things that the library has done and done well, and we want to keep doing. So we're continuing to offer English classes for people finishing high school, sort of to support them in that process, that transition through full adults. We are changing a little bit how we think about English for kids and focusing more on sort of persistency. Instead of having really, really large groups, we're focusing on the cadre that has the other resources behind them to keep coming, the parental support, they live close, which is really important, all these things. So we can serve this core group of kids that really we know are going to take as much out of it as possible. And so that's really, really exciting. But we're complementing the way that we approach elementary aged kids by continuing to foster Consuelo's Club de Lectores, the reading club. And we're bringing back a model that actually was present at the very inception of the program, where we're in the early stages, but we're collaborating with Del Mar. So they're going to send kids to the library to work together in the same class, the same group with kids from Serapio or whatever.
So it's like a reuniting from back in the day.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
Nice.
It's very exciting. And so that's sort of a theme that's going throughout a lot of our programming, is bringing different groups together, integrating, bringing communities together. So aside from English and reading, Beverly mentioned the math tutoring. We are working pretty closely with the director of the Colegio de Bocas to figure out what kinds of sort of soft touch supplemental stuff we can do, whether it's technology and computer in the evenings, or math tutoring, or specific sprints around exam period, so that we can be a stopgap where they're like, oh, I have these kids that need this.
Yeah, it's just it sounds like you guys are feeling it out per se on each thing and adjusting accordingly.
Yeah, that's right. And I think one thing that's really remarkable is the way these relationships with all the schools are blossoming immediately. They're ready. They want to have the conversations. And between COVID, between Beverly taking a step back, a lot of things had been put on the back burner. Now we have the energy and the time, and also like, the flexibility and availability with schools open and everything to reignite all these relationships that were present in the past. So it comes back to the question you asked about how do we figure out what's enough, really, because everybody says, oh, we have a problem. Can you help us? We'd love to work together on this.
Oh, this is awesome. I guess people want it is the big thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
There's nothing worse than having the resources or people wanting to serve, but then the people don't want it.
Yep.
You have the opposite situation. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I guess I don't want to say there's no gray area in your work because you always have to make some tough decisions, but it sounds like it's very black and white in reality. Like you have a purpose, a focus, people want it. Now you just have to get it there in the right spot in the right way.
Yes. Reading has become a serious problem. Because we had basically 2 years off from school with the pandemic. And then, remember, there was a strike, a teacher's strike before that. And so the children have missed 2.5 years. I mean, that's a phenomenal amount.
So that's surfacing to where it kind of,
If
it all
that
added
is
up.
surfacing where you're getting 5th and 6th graders that can't read.
Yeah.
And so Consuelo has really moved forward with the idea of working with some of these children who are having extreme reading problems.
Mm-hmm.
And that's terribly important. And then just getting kids to read and think reading is fun. That's an enormous hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
So the reading clubs, getting the Del Mar people back
Yep.
in, I think is fantastic.
Yep.
Because it gives status to the program.
Yep.
And to the kids that participate in the program. So I think that's a very positive.
That makes a lot of sense. If you
move.
can get elevate the feeling of achievement and cooperation in other people and different
Yep.
socioeconomic backgrounds, just everything. It seems
Yep.
like it's that's a winner. What else is going on that you want to announce as far as in the coming months?
So we've had this program running for a long time called Soy Bebé y Me Gusta Leer, and it's sort of a infantil, and then early elementary school reading class that involves the parents, and it's in Spanish. They do basic vocabulary, everything like that. And at the same time, we had been running one in English, but we have just 2 weeks ago sort of brought the groups together. So now they do 1 day a week, basically the same program in English, and 1 day a week in Spanish. So it's Tico kids practicing songs and colors and basic stuff with this amazing volunteer named Danny. And it was really exciting. I think the opportunities to grow that program are pretty significant. It's really just bound by our availability and how we can find more people to
Well, hey, shout out
support.
to volunteer Danny.
Yeah, for sure. She's remarkable. And Marjorie, obviously, she's been carrying Soy Bebé as her passion project forever.
On the subject of volunteers, or any other categories of volunteer that you might be interested in?
So the answer is absolutely yes. We've got a start date not quite nailed down for March for new English programs, and we're definitely going to need some volunteers to help with the young kids and the adults. It's really interesting how sort of every season you have a turnover in Nosara, and you have to rebuild that base of volunteers. You might have a core group, but then it's not square zero, but it's like square one. So yes, reach out to the library, reach out to me. We'll find, the more people in the library helping out, the better for sure. Another program that has been going strong forever, it's Consuelo's baby, is the Grupo de Adultos Mayores, or the seniors group, that she does a lot and she brings to the library somewhat regularly. It's something that I really love personally. I don't think you can go and see them and not love them. They're so amazing. Some of these people have been in Nosara for 80, 90 years, and they can tell stories about what it was like before the American Project and everything. But the reason it's so important to me is we're starting to talk about this idea of the story of Nosara and who's been here for how long, and passing on traditions and stories and things like that. And it feels to me like it creates an opportunity for the library to foster these connections between generations and cultures in a way almost nobody else can. So I have sort of these lofty ambitions of bringing the Readers Club to have one of the members of the seniors group do reading out loud to them so they can and then tell stories about what that story brings back, and create this new layer of enmeshing between people that maybe never knew each other, which just makes me feel really, really hopeful for what the library can mean for these young people. They've got this new connection to the library, this new connection to this previous generation. I mean, the conversation everyone's having is about between academic achievement, lack of reading, violence, everything else. School is losing people's attention. and we don't know where the kids are going. It's not always good. So anything we can do to reconnect with them, bring them back into this sort of safe, nurturing, positive outlook, there are opportunities environment is meaningful.
I would like to talk a little bit about the history aspect.
Please.
We, over the years, have been collecting stuff, stories, books that have been written, but, aren't really out there for people to read. Books, stories,
Old
actual
photos.
stuff, articles from magazines, papers. We've been collecting stuff. And it would be wonderful if someday someone will be able to come in and put this stuff together in some sort of a reasonable manner that would provide a history of the area. I mean, we have a lot of material.
Yep.
And as David says, the seniors are a wonderful resource for getting more information.
Yep.
And they have great stories.
Oh my
I mean, they
gosh.
really do. And we need to work on that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something that really, it falls under the umbrella of a library, but not as the job of the executive director or the librarian.
Right.
I mean, we collect this stuff, but somebody's got to put it together in a coherent manner that will mean something to the community.
Yep, I think that's right. And it ties back into that theme when we're talking about integrating, right? Like, this is another area of library activity that brings together generations and cultures and sort of the unique trajectory of Nosara with the American Project and everything else. Like you said, we don't have the bandwidth with our core team to do it, but it's absolutely in line with this sort of theme of integration and responsiveness, serving the community.
All right, so last point. How are you guys going to pay for all this?
Ooh,
We have some big goals this year. No events or anything to announce quite yet, but one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, working with our fundraising committee about and talking with the other nonprofits about, is figuring out how to meet the people that have the resources and the desire to donate and find the right ask for them so they can support the project they want. Because in Nosara, everyone's tired of getting their door knocked on. Like, that's a fact. And the programs that we're offering absolutely should be funded, but so should the Bomberos and so should everyone else, right? Like, there's a million valuable projects. And one of the things that's coming out of this approach to collaboration that is sort of emerging in Nosara is, I think, a belief that we don't have to exactly fight, that we can all find the right people and the right arenas if we have reasonable budgets, and are thoughtful about our planning. Obviously, we have a special situation in that Beverly has run Library in the Black every single year of his existence.
All right, so what are your core must-haves?
just sufficient money, actually, to finance. We just had our patrons party in January, and it was a lovely event. It's a thank you party that we give every year, and that's all it is. It is not a fundraiser. It is a thank you. And the people come, and we have bocas and drinks, and we visit. And David gave a lovely talk about what the library is doing and what we have plans for this coming year. And hopefully that inspires them to keep being patrons.
And how do they qualify for that?
And you pay $300.
Yep.
$300 a year to the library. And that makes you a patron. Now, if you want to be a better patron, a bigger patron, a more important patron, then you can give whatever you feel is within your budget to give.
Yeah.
I think a future for you guys, the estate idea.
Yes, no, that's a brilliant idea. And we do have a
We're
very
working
small
on it.
committee that's working on that.
Yeah.
And also just plain, not when people die, but when people sell, when they leave here. Because we have lost probably maybe 20 patrons that were with us from day one. And that's a very big loss. That's a very sad loss. And we need to refill those spots.
Well, that's a segue to my big point I keep saying to you guys over and over again. You've done such a good job securing the core, but the core is getting older. A lot of people are leaving.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not this version of Nosara isn't for a lot of those folks.
Yep.
So you have to refill. And my very, very strong recommendation is key into the new people coming in because
Yep.
they don't know what you do.
That's right.
If people knew how much of a difference you guys make,
Yep.
we have to get to them because they have money.
Yeah, that's right.
But like you said, how many people a day walk through or reach out for something? And a lot of us have a hard time saying no, but squeezing blood from the same turnip,
That's right.
it's tough. We have 50
Yep.
something NGOs and we don't have appropriate funding. So we have to find it. So for you guys, if I can end on that, I would say it's just awareness. If people knew what you guys do, I think.
Well, you have been wonderfully helpful
Yeah.
in that respect.
Absolutely.
Because you have taken bits and pieces of our podcasts over the years that you and I have shared, and you have kept the public eye focused on the fact that a library exists and that we're doing good work. And we personally thank you
Yep.
very,
Agreed.
very sincerely.
Totally agree.
It's an honor. It's an honor. Thank you guys. I guess we'll keep doing that. Now we have to integrate some with
new
this,
stuff.
Yeah. I would just close by saying, come to the library. Come to the library. We have a great selection of books. It's a very comfortable place. Either Consuelo or I are always there with a smile, ready to tuck your ear off if that's what you want, or leave you alone. If you want to enjoy the internet or the AC, it's a great place to be in community and to enjoy yourself, bring your kids, and it's one of the few free places to be in Nosara these days with enrichment activities for kids. So come get to know us.
Nice. Beverly, congratulations. Thank you. We'll miss you. We love you. All of that stuff. You got some big shoes to fill, mister.
Oh my God. I'm working on it, but luckily she's still around. We
Absolutely.
hang out a lot, so
Appreciate you guys.
you too. Thanks so much.